This is another episode of the Mind, Body and Pipeline podcast. I'm really excited for today's conversation with Chris Buckley. Chris and I have known of each other for a number of years. We work in the same industry of marketing and advertising. We recently got put in touch through a connection of High Rocks. I know one of Chris's team members really well, and I've always been fascinated as to the goals that he seems to set himself. He's very public on LinkedIn about his health and fitness journey, and he's once again got a unique experience with health and how that impacts his leadership within his agency Pixel Kicks, and there's such depth that he brings to this topic. He's a developer by trade. His health and fitness journey started 20 odd years ago when he found some niggles, and it's a really important part of his day-to-day and week-to-week. But again, how he looks at it and why he does it is different to anybody that I've spoken to. So his powerful insights on the link between health, fitness and business success will be clear for everybody to see. So let's see what he's got to say. Chris, thank you ever so much again for joining me. And I know that you and I have met and we've talked about you and the business, and I've seen, we've been sort of connected on LinkedIn from afar, and I've met Jamie, one of your team. So I know a little bit about your fitness journey and what the business does. But for the people watching who might not be as familiar with Pixel Kicks or with yourself, can you give us a quick intro into what you do? And then if you can, I'd love to hear a little bit about how your focus on health and fitness has impacted the way that you approach work.
Yeah, absolutely. Cheers, Guy. Thanks for having me on today. So a little bit about Pixel Kicks. Well, I started the business about 12 years ago. Prior to that, I was working freelance for a few years. Prior to that, again, I was working for a couple of businesses, looking after their websites, doing a bit of development, bit of design. But then I decided to, okay, I'm going to test the waters myself. I think I can do this. Got a bit of business on the side. And the 3 years freelance then led to me starting Pixel Kicks, the agency. And I always said I never planned to grow an agency. It was me, a developer, a designer, building websites myself. So for the first half of my career, I probably built 100, 200 websites, entirely self-taught. Then we started to get busier and I needed to hire people because I couldn't do everything. So I took on 2 members of the team. They actually started as apprentices. This was back in 2011, 2012. They're still with the business today. Nice. So there was initially me, then there was 3, and then we were hiring sort of 1 or 2 people every year. And before I knew it, there was 10 of us. And I'm like, okay, I do have to manage the business now. I can't just come into work and stick my headphones on and do a bit of dev, do a bit of design. We kept on growing. COVID hit. Initially, everybody starts panicking, thinking it's the end of the world. We lost a few marketing contracts in like the first 2 or 3 weeks, if not month or so. But after that, it sort of stabilized, and I think e-commerce grew, the internet and digital, people realized we've got to invest. So yeah, we started to grow again. Fast forward to today, we're a team of 20. We're based in Ancoats. Ancoats in the northern quarter in a place called Swan Buildings. We design and build websites mainly in WordPress and Shopify. We've also got a full digital marketing team. So we run SEO campaigns. We do paid social, organic social, and a bit of Google ads. So we're a full service agency. I think what clients like about us, initially, most of our work will come from, we'll get a new website client on board, we'll build them a new website, and then, okay, we can have conversations about, right, yeah, we also do marketing. Let's look at lead gen. Let's look at how we can bring you more sales, get you more business. So we're a good team. I'm one of the oldest in the company. I'm 45. There's my ops director, T, he's similar age, 44, 45. But then we've got a nice mix of youth. Most of the team are 20s, 30s. The social media, a lot of early 20s, all the ones into TikTok. Then we've got a nice balance of youth and experience. So that's where we are in a nutshell right now.
Very good. Love it. Love it. And then your health and fitness, I've seen you doing half marathons. You've done High Rocks. That's probably in the last, 12 months, 18 months have I seen that. You've always been into sport. We've talked a little bit. Oh, sorry, you weren't into sport and you got into it latterly. Yeah. I remember now. But how is the focus on health and fitness? And you've got a unique way that you focus on it with things in your diary. But how has that impacted the way that you approach business? What's the correlation that you found?
Yeah, so at school in my younger days, I was never your sporty type. Played a bit of football with my mates, but for me, I was into computers. I just knew that I wanted to work with computers, and for me, the web design industry, like late 90s, that came at the right time. I think what I found is that I sort of fell into web design. I was quite lucky. It was only really when I was like 20, 21 and above that I then started to sort of look at, just going to take my top off a bit
No,
more.
I had to do the same just before. The heating's kicked in because it's got colder outside, doesn't it?
It has. Yeah, the heating has kicked in. You want to start that one again?
Yeah, go for it.
Will it look odd because I've just taken my top off?
No, we'll go with it. Well, all good.
Let's go with it. It's natural. So when I was 21, I think then I started to go to the gym, and at first you don't enjoy it. You go into the gym because you know you should. You start to put on a bit of weight. You're drinking too much. You're eating too much.
Yeah.
And me and a few friends sort of, okay, we're quite enjoying this now. This was doing weights and bicep curls and bench press. That's what you want in your early to mid 20s. You're going out in Oldham and Manchester. I'm an Oldham lad, born and bred. So I think that's when I started to enjoy that side of things. And I also felt that when you sat down at a desk all day, it's not great for your posture. I'm starting to get a few little aches here and there, and I'm 22, 23, and okay, I'm sitting down for 8-9 hours a day. It's good to try and like compensate that by doing something different. So I found that it was making it easier to work. My back wasn't hurting as much. So I think what I then found, I'm enjoying doing weights, and then I want to improve my fitness and get stronger. It's not just about, right, I'm doing this because I should. So then I started getting into a bit of running. This was just like 5K park runs, a few small 10K events. Found I was quite good at that. But I was always someone who wanted to vary my training. I never liked doing the same thing again and again. I'd go through times where I was obsessed with going to the gym, and I'd work out 3 or 4 times a week. But then I think, right, okay, I want to try something else. So do a bit of running. I've always played football throughout my years, but probably early 2000s to 2010, I then started looking at some of the Tough Mudder events. You've got that sort of crossover. It's not just pure running cardio. You've got the strength element. From then, I found CrossFit. I think I was early 30s when CrossFit sort of discovered me, and then I loved that. I was a CrossFit obsessive for probably 5, 6, 7 years. I wish I'd found that a little bit younger, to be honest. I think I probably would have thrown myself into it even more. But CrossFit then led to High Rocks. So it's always the combination events which suit me. I'm not your super long distance runner, but equally I'm not your just pure strength bodybuilding. Somewhere in between fits me perfectly. And CrossFit and High Rocks, that's that sweet spot for me. So I've done 3 High Rockses. I'm struggling to get into the new one in January 2025. I think this year they announced this new ballot style system, which bloody annoyed me, and I've not managed to get tickets for that. So that's what I'm trying to do at the moment. So yeah, fitness, I have to do it. It works well with my business. I'm sat at a computer all day. I need that break when I've done my work. I need to step away from a screen. I need to go into a gym. I need to do my stretching, flexibility, and then have an actual workout.
Nice. That's something actually that not many people speak about. And even when you look at some of the, I suppose the bloggers, the influencers, whoever that might be, there's a guy that I follow quite a lot called Nick Bear. He owns BPN Nutrition, and he's very similar to yourself and the type of training. He's almost borderline weightlifter, bodybuilder. He's a big guy, 6'5", must be, I don't know, 17 stone or something. And then he found that he was sort of falling out of love with that, loved parts of it, but where was the end for him? He didn't want to go and compete. So then he started running long distances, and now he's found High Rocks, and that's that perfect hybrid. Has there ever been a time outside of the niggles that you were getting, and then you talked about wanting to do the stretching and everything, and it's something that he never even speaks about, but it's so important. Was there a definitive moment outside of that? Actually, I realized that doing some potentially doing some weights, doing some stretching, doing a bit of running is helping with these niggles. Was there anything else outside of that that I suppose made it start to bed into your routine?
In terms of not just getting away from the niggles, but also benefiting the business itself.
Yeah. From a mental standpoint, do you see some real clarity in that?
Yeah, absolutely. Running your own business is difficult at the best of times. It does give you that break. So having that 1 or 2 hour period away from being too much in the business and dealing with staff, HR, clients, sales, yeah, without that, you can. I think it's 100% necessary, and for me, it then makes my working time more focused. Stepping away, even just because I've had a dog for the last 10, 12, 13 years. Having that 15-minute walk in the morning, having that half an hour walk in the evening, that's just great. It lets you think about the day's issues and it lets you reflect on stuff. So you need to, I certainly do anyway. Some days I'm working long hours and then it gets to 5, 6 o'clock. And in the past, I think what I'd do is stay there for another hour or so, but find that I'm not being as efficient as I was earlier in the day. So now I've said, right, okay, it's that time. I might have more work to do, but I'm going to go and have my workout. I'm going to go and walk the dog because I can come back to that work later in the evening or tomorrow and I'll be more effective because of that break. So certainly without exercising, without having that time stepping away from a super focused, stressful day, it can slow work down, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree. Completely agree with you. I started when I got back into my fitness journey a few years ago. I was playing tennis and five-a-side football. And the five-a-side football, I used to say this, I sound like I'm re-quoting myself, was the 2 hours every week where I just used to block everything out. And then last summer, 15 months ago, I said to somebody, the five-a-side football and the tennis had already stopped doing this, but it stopped doing it for me. And then he said to me, have you heard of functional fitness? Have you heard of HIIT training? Have you heard of High Rocks? And I said, no. And High Rocks has really exploded this year, hasn't it? Really. But if you've done 3, you might have done a couple in 2023, maybe even in 2022, where it was very, very, very underground. It still is, really. But it sort of exploded. And every time I go to a HIIT class and I'm doing 3 or 4 a week on top of some running and things like that, that's the time where I don't think about anything else apart from jumping from the ski to the row to the sled. You just can't, can you? And that for me is that even if it's just the 20-minute drive there, hour session with the warm up and cool down, plus the 20-minute drive back where your endorphins are flying, that's really important. And just to get those few hours every week, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. I wake up in the morning and my mind quickly switches to business. I'm 100%. I can never really switch off. Before I go to bed, it's what I always think about. So to have that time away because you're so ingrained in what you're doing, you can't think of anything else. You're not thinking of business. It's so important that. So I completely agree. If it's a game of football, you're being competitive, or it's an actual event, you've got to be there. You've got to be actually in that game.
I know. We spoke a little bit about your routine with the dog walks. How else do you fit exercise into your routine? Because other people might not know, you've got a busy family life. Obviously, you're born and bred in the area where you live. I'm no doubt you'll have a busy social life with friends that you've known for a long time. And then you've got the business that is growing, particularly in the last few years. It's sort of, pretty much doubled in size. How do you structure your weeks? Is there a secret sauce that you have?
Not really. It's not as structured as it used to be. I don't exercise as much as I used to. But for me, after work is best in terms of around 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. That's when I'll do my activity. And it ranges from having a 2-hour session at the gym or going on the bike or having a run. That's pretty much set in stone. And it'll be a minimum of 3 days a week. If I can train more than that, great. I used to train more than that, but like you said, with commitments, it's difficult. Yeah. Sometimes on a weekend, I'll do another activity. Now, that could be something completely different, or it could be an event, or it could be a bit of climbing. I've recently taken up golf. It's not like fitness per se, but it's the same sort of activity to keep you sane. It's great for business. We've made some good connections. So I know this is one of the ways that I got in touch with you a while ago. The routine, for me, it's quite simple. It's 3 days after work, every other day during the week. And if I can squeeze another session into that, then great. I don't think I need to overcomplicate it. People think you need to go to the gym every day, 5 or 6 days a week, but it's the diet, it's the nutrition side, which is the most important. I've not got that perfect at the moment because I'm not being as I suppose obsessed isn't the word. I'm just letting that be a little bit casual. When I need to up my game and when I know I've got some sort of event, I'll sort of try and dial my nutrition in. But I have got a sweet tooth. The wife knows that. Everyone in the office knows that.
Yeah.
And I just let that be my bit of a treat at the moment. But if I can tidy up that, then I'll be a bit fitter and my times will come down.
No, absolutely. With the 3 sessions a week, do you stick them in your diary? You put them in your calendar, or do you just know that I've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, maybe Saturday, Friday, maybe Saturday morning, or Fridays might be out. But do you, after work, do you go, right, I'm going to go Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday morning this week, or you try to do every Monday, Wednesday, Friday? Do you look at it? And if it's in,
I try to have my set days, and I think because I've ingrained this into myself over the years, I know what days generally I'm training. But yeah, I do put it in my calendar. It's got to be there. Yeah. Otherwise, I'll book a meeting in with a client around that time I'm supposed to leave, or I'll end up just staying in the office for a little bit longer. But yeah, if something's in my calendar, that's me leaving the office. Having 2 kids as well, they're super sporty. So Sophia's my eldest. She's 9 years old. She does gymnastics twice a week. She does acro and dancing another day. She's just given up swimming to fit in another gymnastics session. But then she does my wife, her heritage is Ukrainian. Her grandparents were born in the Ukraine. So Sophia goes to Ukrainian dancing lessons on a Friday night. And then on a Saturday, she goes to Ukrainian school to learn the language. So when I'm not training, me or the wife are taking Sophia, and then also our youngest Anya to their classes as well. So yeah, it has to be in my diary. Otherwise I'll forget and I'll be told off. Why have you not picked Sophia up? Why have you not took her to dancing?
Yeah, no, I'm the same. Mine is in bright orange in my diary, but anything that's for me. So if I've got, some sort of physio, or even if myself and the wife, we don't have kids at the moment, but we're going out for dinner, we're going to a gig, anything is in bright orange. So I can see it way ahead of time. And I can see that I am giving myself enough time to have that escape. And then everything else fits around it. And since I've done that, particularly in the last 6 months, I've been really structured. There's never been a challenge at work. I'm better for it. Clients are better for it. Communicating more efficiently, more effectively. And you never miss out. So I'm the same as you. It's got to be in my diary. Otherwise,
I'm with you on the color coding as well. Yeah. My home training events, I think they're yellow or possibly red, but they contrast from the general work meetings, whether it's internal or external. I'm someone who needs structure. I need a schedule. My previous dog passed away a year ago, and for that year when we've not had a dog, my schedule went out the window. I wasn't waking up as early. I had no reason to walk the dog at 5:30, 6 a.m. So 4 or 5 months ago, we got a new dog, a Hungarian Vizsla, crazy little puppy, about 7 months old now. My schedule is better now because I know I have to start the day with that dog walk, which then gets me into this 10, 15 minutes, clear thinking and clarity. Little things like that make a massive difference.
Agree.
Yeah, routine is something I need in my life.
I agree. Color coding's key. I'm getting into
Some people might think it's overkill, but no, it's not. It's being organised and it just helps.
I agree. You've got a bit of a fitness routine, which is dominated, or I suppose dedicated is the right word, when you've got an event in. Yeah. That's what you've said and you've spoken about. We touched on it briefly here, but you spoke up to me before about if you got something in, that maybe not completely, but you sort of dial down on the boozing, the diet and the nutrition gets dialed up, and you really start to focus on that. They're sort of health and fitness goals. How has that approach, I suppose, related to your business goals? Have you seen any correlation between how you approach the physical goals or the fitness goals with the business goals? Because you'll have business goals, you might have that you want it to be a really sustainable lifestyle business, or you might want to sell or do some sort of at some point.
Yeah.
But what's the correlation there between how you set those goals and the business goals?
I would probably say it's the challenge. I like the challenge of doing a fitness-based event. Then when it comes to the business, there's lots of challenges, and every day is different from another. So the challenge might be we need to improve our rankings for one of our main services. I mean, we have to win so much business each month. That's an ongoing challenge. I'm more focused on sales in the business now, rather like I don't do the work. I'm not a day-to-day person anymore, but there's a challenge every day, and that's what makes me tick, I think.
Yeah.
So breaking things into small chunks, not a huge unattainable target. I think that's when things can get broken down. But okay, right, my overall target is to grow the business to X amount of profit or X amount of turnover. We want to win so much new business in a particular industry. How do we get there? Well, we need to create a case study. We need to improve our rankings for Shopify web design, etc. So then actually monitoring it and seeing how that challenge is performing, reporting back to our team, and then making little changes. I think little wins, it's those little rushes of endorphin at the gym because you've had a good set and you're feeling great, or you've actually set a PB, or you set a fast time. It's almost like, I suppose it's gamification in a way. If you can try and make business, okay, it's not stress and I've got these meetings, it's okay, I'm doing this because I want to get to this target, I want to achieve this. So I think that competitive element, I'm someone who's so competitive, I've always been like that, playing games with my daughters, I want to win, and I think that's healthy for them because they know that they're not going to get given everything on a plate. You've got to earn things in life.
Yeah, nice. No, I like that as well. I like that. You're pretty committed to the health. You've got the family who you've got into sport and everything. What drives you to stay committed to your health, both in terms of short-term, day-to-day, maybe it's just the niggles or being, and in the long term?
What drives me now is different than what drove me when I was 20s. So what drives me now is mental health is a massive aspect. I feel so much better when I've done that workout. It helps me enjoy the other things in life more because I'm feeling fit, and it's nice to go out for a meal without having that guilt. Should I be eating this? Should I be eating that? And I think it also keeps me in check with, okay, I don't really want to drink too much because then I'm going to have a bad session at the gym. I'm not going to run a good time. So it's just having everything in balance, and for me that's key in life. You've got to balance things. You do too much of one thing, that's going to have a negative effect on a few other things. So you've got to always look at, okay, why am I doing this? It's a short-term piece of enjoyment, but I don't want to go too far with that. There's times when you've got to let yourself go, and I think that's important too, but balance is the key word here.
Yeah, no, I like it. I like it. I agree. There's definitely that's why I do all the different color coding. Got yellow for internal meetings, including client meetings, green for sort of new business meetings or partnership meetings, and then got orange for anything that's sort of me time or time where I'm sort of, working on myself. And I think when you can see very easily when you color code things, can't you, where you're too heavy. From my side, there's, if you've got loads of the green that I've got in terms of, proactive new business conversations, for example, that's never a bad thing. But actually, sometimes even then, you can be oversaturated in one area, can't you? And like you said, things drop off in others.
Completely.
When we've all had times where things get tough. You mentioned about, a dog passing away, but outside of that, have you ever had a period where you dropped off the health routine? And I know you're a little bit up and down, but how did you get back on track?
Yeah, easily. Over the last 10 or 20 years, I'm very cyclical. I'm very up and down. I'll be obsessive into training and eating, and then I'll back off. And what flips me back up and what makes me look at things is usually my weight. I'll get to one point and I know that's as heavy as I can go, and then I'll get back into the training again. So weight is a main thing, but also how I'm feeling at work. I know when I've had too much coffee or not enough coffee. I know when I'm being productive at my desk or on my laptop, etc. So if I know I've had a sluggish day, I'll look at the reasons for that, and then I can't take that into the next day or the next week. So I've got to, I've gone a bit too far in this direction, and I then need to come back. I can just tell these little signals that I know when I've taken things a step too far. And just because you run your own business anyway, a lot depends on you. You're responsible for, I'm responsible for a team of 20. So I can't do too much of the things that I would have done in my early 20s. And I don't want to anymore because I've got different commitments. I've got a family and I want to make things as good as possible for them, for me, for the business. So you've just got to keep restraining a little bit.
No, yeah, I agree. On a weekly basis, do you remember the gym? You got a gym? Have you part of a running club? You've mentioned cycling before. What sort of?
So I'm a proper gym bunny. I've probably been to most gyms in Oldham over the last 10 years. At the moment, I'm in David Lloyd in Haywood.
Yeah.
I'm not a member of any running clubs. I was a member of Rochdale Triathlon Club, of various CrossFit gyms. So again, because I like to keep things so varied, I don't tie myself down for too long. But yeah, I've always got a gym membership, and then I'll do other activities around that.
And I know, well, obviously I'm aware of the relationship that you've got with Jamie, one of your team, and sort of the competitive nature of that. I think it's absolutely fabulous. That sort of drives you on, probably from a business perspective as well. I'm sure you have a little bit of competitive nature because he sort of works in the commercial team, doesn't he? I know your focus is sales. He's sort of working in the sales team. Outside of sort of that little community that you and he, and I'm sure some other members of the team have got as well, the wider fitness communities, I guess, that you've been part of, have you seen business opportunity from them in the past?
I would say so. Not direct initially, because that's never the aim, but you just naturally get into conversations. I think if you go to some networking events in and around Manchester, you can tell when the conversation goes straight to business, and there's times for that. But equally, fitness and your hobbies and your running, it's a nice little icebreaker to get into a conversation, and it's always something good to chat about, whether it's golf or whether it's park run's one thing in particular where I've met lots of contacts over the years, and they have led into business opportunities, and it's just something else to chat about. You'll naturally find that if you go to most clubs or you go to most types of training and events, that you'll get to meet different people and you'll find out what they do, and then it will lead naturally to different conversations. So it's very much a soft approach, and I think that's much better than the direct sales approach. So yeah, fitness has led to lots of business. We've done websites for CrossFit. It helps when you're doing websites or marketing. If you've got a direct interest in sports, we're doing some work at Pixel Kicks now for Cymex Nutrition and some like healthy caffeine-based supplements. So again, it's something me and the team are genuinely interested in.
Did that come outside of anything that you just mentioned there? Is that from some of the guys at the park run and things, or is that?
I can't remember exactly, but all of this, like, we've done work because of some of my relationships in the past, and then people have seen the work we've done. And I'm very active on LinkedIn, and then some people have seen that. So it's very, very indirect, but yes, it's come because of those initial relationships.
Did you want the CrossFit stuff that you did when you were mad keen on it? Did you just go and ask somebody about working with them? Or did that come? It
was the owner of one of the CrossFit boxes that I was at for a good few years. I'm still mates with the guy. We did their website, and CrossFit boxes, they're a small business, so it just leads to many chats. Okay, let's have a chat about business. Let's help each other out. Yeah. You do the WODs, you do the workouts, but there's conversations outside of CrossFit as well.
Yeah, nice. So a bit of a final question, if that's all right. For business leaders who are thinking about prioritizing their health but don't know where to start, what's the one piece of advice that you would give them?
It's quite simple. Just start, and don't feel that you have to work out for 2 hours, or don't feel that you have to run. Okay, go to the gym, lift a few weights, do 1K on the treadmill, do that for a few times, then do 2K on the treadmill. Start to make like steady improvements, and before you know it, you're 6 months in, 12 months in. You won't have that enjoyment in the beginning. If you've not been an active person and you then, right, I need to start doing this for the sake of my own health, nobody enjoys it initially. It might take a few weeks or a few months. So don't set yourself unattainable targets. Try not to compare yourself to others too much. As long as you're making small improvements, that's all you need. And before you know it, you'll have lost weight, or you'll have got fitter, and you'll find you're probably performing better in the office, in your business benefits.
Nice. Love that. Thank you ever so much.